Hello everyone, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. Today is Sunday, January 14th at the time of filming this video, so I wanted to do a weekend reading update for you. I had a pretty good reading week last week. I read 2 books, listened to a short story on Audiobook, and started into a 3rd book, so I feel pretty good about it. I want to start with the books that I have read, and then I will talk about my current read. So the first book that I finished last week was Nicole Krauss's The History of Love. And this is the novel that I hauled recently. It's one of my newer book hauls. It may be my newest book haul. This was such a fabulous novel. I have not read fiction in a while. The last maybe even year and a half or so has been primarily nonfiction for me. So it's been sort of a return to some of my older reading styles, going back to fiction. And this was absolutely beautiful. So it's a very short novel, so I don't want to expound too much on the plot because I don't want to give it away, because I feel that I could give it away pretty quickly, and I don't want that to happen. So all I will say about this book is it is the dual story, the story of an elderly man in New York City named Leo Gursky and a young girl named Alma Singer. And these 2 characters do not know each other. They orbit sort of in different galaxies, if you will, but they have one common denominator between their 2 stories that ends up bringing them together in the end. The writing is incredibly beautiful, very descriptive, very lush and full. Character portrayal is incredibly lifelike, very human. It's quite an emotional read, actually, and I really slowed down when I was reading this one because I wanted it to last. I felt that I was getting to know these characters, and just the sort of the atmosphere of the book as well is one that I really enjoyed being in. So I would highly recommend The History of Love to anyone. Then I moved on to some nonfiction, and that is The Underworld, Journeys to the Depths of the Ocean by Susan Casey. And this is another one that I showed in that haul video as well. And this book was absolutely incredible. Susan Casey's writing is very gripping. It's very page-turning. You're sort of reading these events as they're unfolding. And then the subject matter is just incredibly fascinating. I have read a handful of books sort of on topics that are adjacent to the topic of manned submersible diving. Nothing ever technically about manned submersible diving, so I was really interested in learning more sort of about that aspect of deep sea exploration. And some of the stories in here are absolutely insane. And the photo glossary as well of the images that are captured by these submersibles going down 30,000 feet into the ocean is almost beyond belief. And some of them almost seem unbelievable. Some of them look fake even, and they're not, which is the crazy part. So this was a really fun, exciting book. I would definitely recommend this if you like sort of outdoor exploration, adventure style writing. This book is not a science book. It is not a book about deep sea life. It's not a book about the abyssal zone or anything like that. This is purely a recounting of these different stories of dives she has done over her career, some of the projects that she's taken part in. So it's not a science book. You're not really going to learn the technical side of manned submersible diving or anything sort of that's technically involved in that activity, but you will get sort of everything else that comes along, all of the stories, all of the incredible people who have committed their life to deep sea exploration, and just sort of a sense of deep sea exploration as an industry, not so much as a science. But that did not diminish the reading experience at all. I still really enjoyed it. Definitely a 5-star read. Then I listened on audio to Claire Keegan's Small Things Like These, which is a short story set in Ireland in the 1980s. And it is an absolutely beautiful story dealing with a lot of just sort of the human condition, but a lot of the meaning of a small life and the purpose that comes in doing small things, whether it's small acts of kindness, small acts of bravery, of courage, what have you. And it was beautifully written, and I highly recommend it. The narrator of the particular audiobook that I listened to was also fantastic. I can't remember his name, but I will put it in the description down below. And then moving on to what I'm currently reading, and that is Herman Melville's Moby Dick. And this is a reread for me, and I'm absolutely loving it. This is the first book on the Classics and Company 2024 reading roster. If you're not familiar with Classics and Company, it is a year-long reading event hosted by myself and Ann Novella, a fellow booktuber here on YouTube. It started in 2023, so last year, and it just went so well, and everyone had such a blast who was involved that we decided to go ahead and put it into 2024 as well. And the first book that we will be reading in that group is Moby Dick. And I will leave a link down below to the Classics and Company YouTube channel. I would highly encourage you to go check that out. We just recently got that set up, so we're trying to grow the subscriber base. And then I'll also leave a link to the Classics and Company Discord server if it's something that you are interested in joining us for. But I read Moby Dick for the first time last year, and I actually made a video about it, so I'm not going to talk really anything about it at all here. Beyond just saying that I'm starting to read it again. And I think that my second reading is going to be even more enjoyable than the first. I actually enjoy rereading fiction. I don't feel that it sort of dulls it by knowing what's coming. I think actually it allows you to have a different perspective. Instead of being focused on plot or focused on what's happened, you can be focused on sort of the finer aspects of the story and of the character arcs, which I think is a really interesting way to sort of be able to get a second perspective or a fresher perspective on something that you're already familiar with. So that is the final book to talk about today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to leave a comment down below if you would like, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now, and happy reading.